Hi and welcome to another episode of Sports Scene. I'm joined on the panel tonight by Shane Soroya.
Thank you, Dion. It's always been a pleasure joining you in the studio.
And Sports Scene's roving reporter Jeremy Morgie is back in the studio.
Thank you, Dion. It's great to be back here as well.
Now it's been a big week of sport. There has been, Hekari has been playing in the OFC Champions League. And Shane, tell us a little bit about that, just briefly.
Well, Hekari went into OFC hoping to reclaim the title like they did in a previous 2010, which they won the OFC Champions League. But unfortunately, they lost the qualifying match going into the semi-finals to Team Wellington, which is quite upsetting for the team and for the country as well.
Must have been disappointing.
Well, it would have been considering the fact that this was one of the strongest Hekari sides that they'd ever taken to an OFC Champions League qualification process. And the thing is, it featured a lot more Papua New Guineans than before. Like you had Emmanuel Simon there in the midfield. And he's making his debut on the international stage in a major club competition. You've also got perhaps the NSL's most prolific goal scorer for this season, Tommy Sammy.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we'll get back to that later on. But there was cricket this week, over the week as well.
There was cricket. It started on Friday, and this was the National Women's Regional Championships.
That was done at Pari Village, wasn't
it? It was
Pari
held
Village.
over at Pari Village. I actually got shocked. When you drive in, the field is situated on the side of the hill, and it's done up really nicely.
Okay.
They've even got a grandstand, everything, nice shelter. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So when I ended up there, considering the fact it's a small village, but I was impressed by it. I was like, hey, this is really, really nice. So the championships had Barramundi coach Deepak Patel, as Joanne Broadbent, a former Australian Test cricket player who is there to watch the ladies have a go.
Okay, also was the junior basketball coaching clinic. Elijah and I were down at Ella Beach. It was a school holiday program just to teach young basketball enthusiasts on the basic fundamentals of basketball, and it was run by Vetudiro, and she had help from a couple of other people in the basketball fraternity as well. Also was the National Athletics Championships that was over in Leh, and Lorraine was up there, and I'm sure that the teams, all the athletes are preparing really well, especially on the eve of the Pacific Games.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So into our first segment, karate. After the national karate titles recently, head coach Trevor Roberts, Sensei Trevor Roberts, and Carl Murray, they're actually preparing the athletes for the Pacific Games. It's coming to the stage now where the final selections will be, the final selections are due, so you see that a lot of the athletes in karate are vying for a spot to be named on the squad for the Pacific Games.
One of the names in there that I'm really hoping will make that cut is a good friend of mine named Nigel Bana. He's, I would say, perhaps one of their best chances at gold for the Pacific Games. So, but full credit to the team as well. They have been training very, very, very hard.
So we're wishing all of those karate athletes all the best, especially in the lead up towards the games.
Okay, as you can see, the guys are just practicing a few little moves. Okay, about half an hour ago we were going flat out. Mainly we're working what we call the WKF rules, which are the World Karate Federation rules.
From karate, we'd now take a look at junior basketball.
The School Holiday Basketball Clinic is aimed at teaching school students interested in basketball the fundamental skills of the sport. The basketball clinic has proven to be successful, with girls and boys aged between 9 and 17 from all around Port Moresby attending the clinic. The turnout for the basketball clinic was phenomenal, with over 70 young basketballers participating on the final day of the clinic.
It's good to go out there and catch up with the kids. Like the ages were ranging from about 9 to 17. So a lot of youngsters who are eager in the sport of basketball, and being out there and seeing how they were enjoying the clinic, I actually think that it's really important that young sporting enthusiasts should know the fundamentals at such an early age. I reckon it's really important.
Yeah, a really good example of that would be the Papuan Blacks under 19.
Yes.
They went to the Northern Territory and they really performed.
Yes, that's right. They actually won that competition over in Darwin, so it's really good to see that like our younger teams are doing well.
Jeremy, why do you think this kind of program is important that will help the future basketballers of basketballers in this country?
Or maybe not just basketballers, but sports, like in different sports as a whole.
Junior programs, any junior program only has benefits. One of the problems that Papua New Guinea had leading towards these Pacific Games is that we didn't have proper development strategies in place from the 90s for every single sport that came in. When I started teaching sport in high school, we had kids that were coming through that had raw talent, but really didn't understand how and why and in what way you should use that talent. These clinics here allow each of the individual young kids taking part to have an education into that. Now, a lot of times people say, you know, that education is a right. They forget that that same education can be given and put in a sporting context. Now, here's the thing. One example, the sport that I love, you know, football. We've got 17-year-olds that are taking part in qualification matches, you know, internationally. And they're taking on kids that have far more experience than they do.
They've been playing for a lot longer,
So you can say, yes, both of them are 15-year-old kids playing in the under-16 division, but one of them has 10 years experience. The other one only 3. And this is where these junior development programs, especially at a very, very young age, are very important.
Back to sports scene. Now this weekend was the National Regional Championships for cricket, women's cricket, wasn't that right, Jeremy?
Yes, it was. 3 teams took part. You had NCD Avala, NCD Lahara, and a combined 11 side that featured players from Madang, Moresby, the Western Highlands.
Are they all based in those centres?
They are based in those centres, and they were all brought together to take part. Now, only 3 teams, but the quality of cricket was actually really good.
Yeah. Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. Wasn't I won't say it wasn't what I expected, but I did turn up there, you know, thinking that I'd probably just see 1 or 2 good players, but instead it was just all across the board. Our ladies are doing really, really well.
And it's leading up to the Pacific Games as well.
It is leading up to the Pacific Games, and they brought along a New South Welsh woman.
A woman,
named,
okay.
Yep, Joanne Broadbent. She's a former Test cricket player.
Australia?
Played 10 Tests for Australia over I think it was I think there's 12 Tests over 10 years.
Oh, not bad.
Not that many, but she said she'd valued a lot of the experiences taken. And when I interviewed her, here's what she had to say about the quality of cricket here in Papua New Guinea. Joanne, thank you very much for your time here in sunny Port Moresby. A little bit different from New South Wales.
Very different. It is very hot, but it's very warming. The people here are lovely, and I get to watch cricket for 5 or 6 days that I've been here, so I'm thoroughly enjoying myself here.
Now, what is happening here today is the Women's National Regional Championship. Only 3 teams taking part today, but you have to admit, even the quality itself is something to admire.
Yeah, look, the quality's great. The skill levels are fantastic. I mean, this will be the first game that the girls have had in this current season, so they've done a little bit of skills leading into this, but the games have been really close, and I've been really impressed with the skill levels of all the 3 teams. There's been some younger players that I haven't seen on some of my trips to PNG, so it's been really exciting to see the senior players and the players that went to Japan and won there, as well as some younger players that are coming up through the system, which is fantastic.
Considering the performances in Japan last year, and the fact that our women have now increased their status in terms of cricket for or in less developed countries, do you feel that's the right way to go?
Look, definitely. I think, you know, cricket, you just want opportunities. If people have opportunities of playing sport, no matter what sport it is really, I mean, cricket's a great game, and it's, you know, for those that play it I guess they, you know, well, I know I've had a lot of fun playing it, and I know these girls have had fun playing it as well. So I think it is just about opportunity. You create an opportunity for someone to play sport, and they'll come running. So I think, you know, PNG Cricket do a fantastic job getting in and around the villages and getting the players trialling for these sorts of things. Yeah, there was 3 teams here for this weekend. It'd be nice to sort of get that up to 4 to 6, and I'm sure that they'll be working hard to do that in future years.
Dion also on hand was Deepak Patel,
National coach.
head coach for the Barramundis. And later on this week, he'll be making an announcement about the new look side for the Pacific Games, because there will actually be 2 different teams. You have the Digital Barramundis, who will be taking part in international competitions such as the South Australian Cricket Association Premier League.
Currently playing.
And then you've got the Barramundi A side, who will be representing PNG at the Pacific Games.
Experience. The Barramundis, yeah, it's a very solid squad. Once again, you know, a lot of the names pick themselves due to their performances before Christmas and after Christmas. But there are a couple of surprises there too. And once again, they've been rewarded through their performances in lay, and also take into account what they bring to training, fitness training. So yeah, we feel that we need to take our next step up. We believe that the countries that we're going to be playing against will be a lot more prepared for us. They've seen us perform over the last 6 months, and we needed to bring something different to the table. So yeah, those are the expectations really.
It's really exciting because cricket's been excelling really well over the last couple of years. They've been qualifying for international tournaments, and they've been really making the name and making the country proud. So all the best to the Barramundis as well as the Lewas in their preparation for the Pacific Games. Now, it was a disappointing week for Hekari FC as they missed out on qualification in the OFC Champions League semi-finals. Is that true?
Yeah, it was. You know, this was one of the strongest Hekari sides that had been picked to travel.
And
well, Shane covered a lot of those
Yeah, well,
matches.
that match between Hekari and Team Wellington was a top of the table clash between, in Pool C, and Hekari lost to Team Wellington 2 points to 0. Yeah, despite Hekari had a lot of ball possessions, probably 60% of ball possessions, but they again failed to capitalize and score points. So Team Wellington did.
They made use of.
They made use of They made use of the opportunity and managed to score 2 points against Hekari, and that was a disappointing match for Coach Jerry Allen and his side. So yeah,
really unfortunate because they had a really good start. Last week we mentioned that they beat Tafia 3-2, and then they beat Tafina. AFS Tafina 3-2 as well.
3-2 as well.
So they had a really good start coming in, and then it was such a disappointing loss.
It's not a do-or-die match, but actually the winner of this match is straight to the semi-finals. So that was the case for Team Wellington. So and unfortunately, Hekari got to lose that match. So
because you see, Shane, Dion, there were 3 pools: Pool A, Pool B, Pool C, 12 teams all together. And obviously, when you make it to the semi-finals, that means top 4.
Top 4. Yeah.
So, but it's not as if it was 2 from one pool, 1 from another, one from another pool. What happened was whichever teams had the highest points all across the board. So you've got 2 teams from, I think it's Group A, one from Group B, and Wellington from Group C that have all qualified. So the points. The wins were extremely important for every one of the teams that went there.
Such a disappointing loss for Hekari FC when they lost against Wellington, because I watched a bit of the highlights, and those goals weren't, I wouldn't say weren't easy to come by, but it wasn't. I mean, Hekari did really well. Those goals weren't easily scored by Wellington.
One of the goals was a deflection.
It was a deflection.
It was a cross coming in from the right-hand side, inside the 6 yards, cutting across the face.
I saw that. The defender, it actually deflected off him and went in. That's what goes to show that they didn't lose like extremely because it was a 2-0 loss. It was those goals where, let's just say, unfortunate goals. because they could have gone any way, and it was just unfortunate that they managed to score those goals.
The NSL top striker, Tommy Sammy, he was able to take a couple of shots against Team Wellington, but unfortunately he didn't find the back of the net, which was disappointing for the team. Yeah.
I really thought, because this is, as Jeremy mentioned earlier, probably one of the best teams we've Hekari has sent to the...
Yes, and one of the youngest as well. Hekari is in a transition period. You know, you've got older players that who know that they are slowing down, and the team is, you know, looking for replacements. When I had a chat with John Capinato just prior to the team's departure, he'd said that, yeah, you know, over time the team, in about 2-3 years, we want to see a totally different looking Hekari side representing the PNG Football Association's biggest competition, you know, the NSL. And well, that is if Hekari is still number one.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no NSL this week over in
Port
Moresby and Ley. And, you know, I think by next year we're going to see another team maybe joining Hekari as well.
Tommy Sammy is rumored to be the next Kema Jack. Yeah, and what is
yes, that's the
thought
thing.
about that?
That's what John Capinato himself said.
Okay.
In fact, Tommy Sammy was brought in specifically to replace Kema Jack.
He's been doing extremely well. Like, I've been seeing his progress in the NSL, and I reckon the NSL has been doing really well in building these players to the level that they're at, and, you know, going out to play in international tournament like the OFC Champions League.
That's actually his debut to OFC Champions League, and he managed to pull 2 goals out of this recent tour. That's quite an achievement for a young prospect like Tommy Sammy himself. Yeah.
Well, it's actually great for Papua New Guinea. I mean, considering the fact Hekari traditionally has relied on international strikers.
So it's good to see a home
that are both from Fiji, Vanuatu, Solomon Islands, and then for PNG's own homegrown product. You know, he, like you said, Kema Jack, he was prolific in the OFC Champions League when he was in form.
Now, is Tommy Sammy in the under 19? Is it under 23 team that's going to be taking part?
Yes,
Definitely.
he is. When I had a chat with national coach Ricky Herbert, I actually asked about that. I said, look, you've got this young striker who is, you know, in wonderful form. Will the team be built around him? And he said no. He's just still one of the names that is up for grabs, and he happens to be in form right now. And that was a great thing, because it shows that the coach is not picking favors on anyone, and every single player in the national team is still open for selection.
Yes, I think we don't deserve to be 2 goals down in the first half. I think the boys knew it well. We just gave them a cheap goal, you know. But the boys played really well, but that's how football.
Now, this weekend was the National Athletics Championship over in Ley. So it was all the athletes from around the country converged to Ley for the national championships.
Toya Wizu was there as well.
Yes, and I heard she injured her hamstring. So
pulled the hamstring, yeah.
Wow, that's going to be, I mean, in the eve of the Pacific Games, that's going to be pretty devastating. So we hope she'll recover from that as soon as possible and get back into her blistering form to make PNG proud at the Pacific Games. And Lorraine Genia was there to catch all the action.
The 54th National Athletics Championships were held at the Sir Ignatius Kalagas Stadium in Ley at the weekend. Much of the talent that was witnessed on the track and field was identified from the 6 PNG Games in November last year. Secretary for the PNG Athletics Union, Philip Breda, confirmed from the championships a team will then be selected for the 2015 Pacific Games. Elite athletes along the likes of Mo and Boyno, Toya Whistle and Betsy Burwa were on track at the stadium for a pre-run before the games and also to boost the morale of up-and-coming athletes. While the top guns of track and field events would be definite selections for the games in July, Betsy confirmed that the purpose of her attendance was merely to support and extend her experiences. Debono Paraka, PNG's best bet at gold for discus and shot put, had a phenomenal weekend, breaking the national record for discus at 49.10 metres. A young yet determined bloke, Debono is aiming high come July and isn't prepared to disappoint.
And unfortunately, we've come to the end of the show. Thank you very much for your company. Thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Dion. It's always been a pleasure in the studio.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you, Dion.
And that's a wrap of Sports Scene. Catch us next week, same time, same place. Good night.